Boom, boom, shake the mofo room. Aya's here with the CHS Fantasy Football Week 5 recap. Beats by Ray continues his dominance, and 6 teams is having the same record. Let's take a look at the rankings. Booyakasha! In our first matchup, Beats by Ray destroys Nuke ISIS 123.54 to 72.48. Beats by Ray had their highest score of the season. Arian Foster ranked 4th in scoring in the league and had the highest output of any player on Beats by Ray's team this season with 29.2 points. He also had Greg Olson with 19.2 points, which was the highest scoring tight end of the week. Nuke ISIS was led by Andrew Luck with 21.68 points. He has the current longest losing streak at 3 games. Nuke ISIS drops to 6th place, while Beats by Ray remains undefeated at 5-0. In our second matchup, Clay Price's team annihilates Pooty Poot Putin 110.74 to 70.04. Clay had 21 points from his kicker, Steven Gostkowski. It was the highest score for a kicker this season. He was also led by Drew Brees with 19.74 points and Antonio the Monster Gates with 18 points. He also picked up the Pittsburgh defense and took a page out of the Beavers playbook because they were playing Jacksonville this week. Pooty Poot Putin was led by Matt Ryan with 15.64 points and Stephen Ridley 7.3 points. After getting 3 touchdowns last week, tight end Larry Donald was shut down by the Atlanta defense and had 0 points. He also started 2 tight ends, the other one being Jimmy Graham, who only got 3.6 points because he got hurt and left the game. Pooty Poot Putin was a victim of the bye week with Lamar Miller and Mike Wallace not playing this week. 3 of his players had season lows: Jimmy Graham, Alfred Morris, and Antonio Brown. All 3 of the losses for Pooty Poot Putin this season have come when their opponent had their highest scoring week of the season. Both teams are now 2-3. Pooty Poot Putin is in 4th place, and Clay Price moves to 7th place. In our third matchup, Tampon Lollipop just slips by Gonzo's Funhouse Gang 74.64 to 71.58. This was the smallest margin of victory this week. Tampon was led by Julius Thomas with 18.6 points and Jeremy Macklin with 13.6 points. Tampon was still able to pull out a win with only 3 of his 9 starters exceeding their projected point total. He also left Deshaun Jackson on the bench for 21.7 points, and Fred Jackson with 12.7 points. Gonzo was led by Nick Foles with 14.58 points, and Des Bryant 14.5 points. Gonzo's Funhouse Gang left 19.4 points on the bench by Golden Tate, which could have got him the victory. You can't blame him for not starting the New England defense after how bad they played. Tampon Lollipop was able to win despite putting up the smallest point total of any winning team this week. It would have been a blowout if Percy Harvin didn't have all 3 of his touchdowns called back from penalties. Gonzo's team falls to 9th place with a 2-3 record, and Tampon holds on to the 2nd place spot. In our 4th matchup, Mary's High Flyers logs the 2nd highest point total of the season, destroying My Team Effing Sucks 149.16 to 101.06. Mary's team was led by Demarius Thomas, who put up video game numbers, scoring a league high for most points, 34.6 points. He also had Andre Ellington, 26.4 points, and Tony Romo, 19.96 points. The 3rd week in a row, he beats his scoring projection. My Team Effing Sucks was led by the Peyton Manning Show with 32.96 points. DeMarco Murray continues to dominate with 17.2 points, but fails to reach the end zone for the first time this season. All of Mary's players scored touchdowns except T.Y. Hilton. 3 of the 4 losses for My Team Effing Sucks have come when their opponent had the highest scoring week. of the season. According to the stats, my team effing sucks has the hardest schedule. It's a 3-game lose streak for my team effing sucks. He falls to 1-4 and moves to last place. Mary's team, 3-2, moves to 3rd place. And in our final matchup, Bieberhole 69ers pummel the Fourth Reich 151.84 to 71.46, putting up the highest score of the season. Russell Wilson, 34.24 points, 122 yards rushing. Eddie Lacy, 25.2 points. Phil motherfucking Dawson, 20 points from my kicker. The Fourth Reich is led by Jay Cutler, 23.76 points, and Le'Veon Bell, 11.8 points. The Fourth Reich has now scored below their projected points for the last 4 weeks in a row. The margin of victory, 80.38 points, was the largest in the league this week and the entire season. Bieberhole 69ers 151.84 points against a projected 94.16 points and has overachieved for the last 3 weeks in a row. Beats by Ray, I'm coming for you in week 6. In the loss, the Fourth by Reich had their highest losing score of the season with 71.46 points. The Bieberhole 69ers got a combined 53.7 points from their running backs, the highest combined scoring output from the running back position for any team this season. With the win, the Bieberhole 69ers snapped their 3-game losing streak. They have a 2-3 record and they're in 5th place. The Fourth Reich has a 2-3 record and they fall to 8th place. And now for the stats. The league leaders: quarterback Andrew Luck, 133.18. Running back DeMarco Murray, 101.4. Wide receiver Antonio Brown, 82.78. Julius Thomas at tight end with 64.6. The Philadelphia Eagles defense has 74 points. And Steven Gostkowski has 57 points and leads all kickers in the league. The fuck up of the week goes to Gonzo's Funhouse Gang for not starting Golden Tate after he had a 100+ yard game last week, and he puts up another 100+ yard game and a touchdown. He could have won if he started him. The worst decision to sit goes to Gonzo again. There was a lot of blowouts this week, so there were some players on the benches that scored more points than their starters on people's teams, but it wouldn't have mattered. Gonzo's was the one that really mattered. The manager of the week for week 4, since we didn't do a recap for week 4, I'm going to give to Tampon. Was able to win with 3 backups in his starting lineup. And the week 5 manager of the week, Bieberhole 69ers, me, the most points scored. I moved up 3 spots in the rankings, the biggest blowout of the season, the most scored from our running backs. It's all about the Bieberholes. And I'm coming for Beats by Ray next week, so you better be ready. Don't count that money yet. That concludes the Week 5 recap. Again, I apologize for not doing a Week 4 recap. I'm sure you were all devastated. There's a lot of football left to be played. Somebody needs to take out Beats by Ray and put him in his place. It's pretty even through the middle of the rankings, and it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Don't count your team out yet. And I will see you guys next week in week 6.